Hello, everybody, and welcome back here to my YouTube channel. And today, what we're going to do is we are going to do a 2024 election prediction, but we're going to do something a little interesting. So, in this particular scenario, the Republican Party decides to go with Phil Scott, who is the governor of Vermont, and Chris Sununu, who is the governor of New Hampshire. Now, these two particular Republicans are not what you would call, I guess you could say, very conservative. Phil Scott is a liberal Republican, and Chris Sununu is a moderate Republican. But then the interesting factor that comes in is that the Democratic ticket includes Louisiana Democratic Party Governor John Bel Edwards and Democratic Party Senator from West Virginia Joe Manchin, two very conservative Democrats. They're both conservative than these two Republicans combined. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill out the map, and some of the calls are going to be a little different because you have a lot of these traditionally conservative states who are not going to be comfortable with voting for a Republican nominee in Phil Scott, who is anti-Second Amendment for the most part. He supports assault weapons bans, he supports ban on bump stocks, he supports all the lot. But also, especially in the Bible Belt, they're not going to be comfortable voting for Scott, who is pro-choice. Now, Chris Sununu is also pro-choice, but not, he's for some limits. Phil Scott is really just pro-choice all across the board. Phil Scott is pro-taxes. Chris Sununu is not pro-taxes. So that's where a lot of these states will still maybe go red, but not by, typically safe margins. So we'll go ahead and fill out this map. Make sure you leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get this going. So we're going to do the Democratic states first. So California would still be a safe state, but it would have low turnout. A lot of Democrats who live in California are progressives and even moderates, so that they're not going to be too thrilled with the Bel Edwards Manchin ticket, two pro-life, two pro-gun Democrats. But nevertheless, it would still be safe. I think some Democrats may even vote for Phil Scott and Sununu, but it wouldn't be enough to make it a likely call. California is just California. Oregon would be safe. Washington would be safe. Again, the voter turnout in these states would be very low. The progressives would it wouldn't be like a protest vote like they would for Trump, because Trump was seen as an outsider, and the Bernie Bros in 2016 were pissed that the DNC screwed him out of the nomination, so they protested and voted for Trump because Trump, like Bernie, is an outsider. But that's the only thing they liked about him. They didn't like in his policies, by any means. In Nevada, I think that would be a Democratic win. I think they would make inroads, but I think it would be a likely win for the Manchin and Bel Edwards ticket. Down in Hawaii, that would be safe blue. I do believe Montana would be tilt blue for the Edwards Manchin ticket. Actually, I think it'd be lean blue. I don't think it'd be tilt. I think they would flip enough of the rural counties out here in the eastern part of the state, and definitely out here towards the west. Idaho, that's going to be a lean win for the GOP. They'll definitely make some inroads in Idaho, but I think enough of the identity politics and political party loyalty will definitely come into play here, and it'll still be red. Wyoming, it's going to be weird to see it not safe red, but it's going to be likely red. I think you're definitely going to see a lot of the loyalists in Wyoming who they'd vote for a glass of water if it had an R on it. I still think, though, it would be likely red. Utah would be safe red. Because the Mormon population in Utah, I forgot about that. Actually, I don't think it'd be blue, because Utah does not go blue at all. They haven't had a Democratic senator in decades. I think it might even be centuries. Oh, century. Okay, a century, because it hasn't been that long. But I think it would be lean red. Even just like Idaho, I think they would do very well, but it would still, just because of the attachment to the Republican Party, I think the Scott Sununu ticket would win here. In Arizona, Alaska would still be safe red. Phil Scott is pretty good on the oil industry. He's not. That's one thing where he breaks with his liberal counterparts in the Democratic Party. He would support the oil and fishing industry and the timber industry. Those are very prevalent industries in Alaska, so it would still be a safe red state. Although I think Edwards and Manchin would definitely bring out the conservative electorate there. Arizona, that's going to be a Democratic win. I think it'd be lean blue for the Democrats. New Mexico would be safe. Colorado would be safe at this point. I mean, even Sununu and Scott are more in line with some of the voters out in Colorado. But the fact that um, it's still identity or loyalty, party loyalty is still in effect. That's why it would still be victories for the Democrats. Uh, North Dakota and South Dakota would both be safe red, but they would still do better than typical Democrats here. They might even surpass 200,000 votes. Typically, Democrats don't do that in either state. Nebraska, statewide, would be likely. The second district would be safe blue, I think, for Omaha, bring out the African American population. Um, Kansas would be likely red. Oklahoma would be likely. No, that looks crazy, but it's still Oklahoma at the end of the day. Actually, no, Oklahoma would be lean. It's one of the most conservative states in the union, just like Wyoming, but Wyoming is a little bit different. Oklahoma is a little, they're more conservative to an extent, but Wyoming is not so attached to partisan politics. Oklahoma, or sorry, party loyalty. Oklahoma votes on policy. Oklahoma is a very conservative state, so they'll definitely go out for the Edwards Manchin ticket. They won't go out for someone like Phil Scott, but I think Sununu being on the ticket will help. If Scott was running with a fellow liberal Republican like Charlie Baker or even Hogan, I think possibly you could see Oklahoma going blue for the first time since '64. Texas, that's going to be tilt red. It's getting to that point already. Even with a progressive Democrat, Texas can go tilt red, but it's going to be a red state for a while. I don't think Democrats are going to win Texas, at least until the 2030 elections. Maybe the first presidential election in the 2030s will be 32. Maybe by then. I don't think it's going to go red or blue in 24 or 28, but we'll see. Anything is definitely possible. Louisiana, that is going to go tilt blue because it is the home of Governor Edwards, very popular governor for the most part. He's liked amongst conservative Republicans and Democrats alike. I think Arkansas will go. I think it'd go lean red, and Missouri would go likely. I think Iowa would flip tilt blue. I think Ohio would flip tilt blue. West Virginia would go lean blue. I believe Mississippi would go tilt blue. Alabama would go lean red. Georgia would be likely blue, or lean blue, sorry. South Carolina would be likely red. North Carolina would be tilt. Virginia would be likely. Tennessee, both Tennessee and Kentucky would both be lean, but they would still go for the GOP column. Indiana would be lean, I think, actually, with Manchin and Edwards. Illinois and New York would both be safe states. Go ahead and fill those out. Minnesota would be likely Democrat, which puts them just 12 electoral votes away from the 270 mark. I do believe Wisconsin would. I think because you have two conservative Democrats, you're not going to get a lot of the moderate Democrats out in Milwaukee and Green Bay who kind of vote more in person and not on political identity or party. I think because Scott is very, he'd be very appealing to a lot of Democrats who would be dissatisfied with the fact that it's a very conservative ticket. I think Wisconsin would actually go tilt red. But Michigan, because of the union power and because there are a lot of Democrats who really vote on party loyalty, especially out in Detroit, they'll definitely go out for Edwards and Manchin. I think that'll be a lean Democratic state. I think Pennsylvania would be lean as well. I don't think it'd be tilt. Well, yeah, I think it would be lean for the Democrats, which puts them at 292. In the state of Florida, I think that's going to be tilt blue as well. DC would be safe. Maryland would be safe. Delaware would be safe. Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Now Vermont is going to go. I know statewide and federal levels are a little different, but Vermont is going to go tilt red, and New Hampshire is going to go tilt red. And then you're going to have Maine at large, likely, and the second congressional district is going to be lean red for the Scott Sununu ticket, and that is going to be the map. So obviously some really strange calls here. You got Louisiana and Mississippi blue for the first time in decades. You got Iowa blue for the first time since 2012. Ohio blue since 12. North Carolina blue since 08. Florida blue since 2012 as well. Georgia blue for 2 straight elections if this were to happen in real life. But of course, John Bel Edwards and Joe Manchin, would never be able to win a Democratic primary, much less complete an entire ticket. I think if one of them managed to somehow win a Democratic primary, they would be forced to pick a progressive or a moderate as their running mate just to balance out the ticket. But in doing so, they can have some significant electoral, some stunning electoral outcomes if they were to do that. They'd have states like Mississippi going blue, which I don't know if it's necessarily that necessary for Democrats that they want to win Mississippi just to put together a conservative ticket. But that's what I think would happen. There's a lot of the states with a weird election prediction like this are certainly up for debate. So make sure you let me know what you think in the comments. Try and keep it civil. Have a discussion. Personally, as a strong conservative, I would probably vote for Edwards and Manchin. I'm not a big fan of Phil Scott whatsoever. I think he's been I mean, as far as like the environment in Vermont and just the state quality and life quality, I agree with him on that. I think he's done a good job in Vermont. But beyond that, on economics and social issues, I think he's been horrendous. Chris Sununu, I do like Chris Sununu. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's sufficiently right wing, which I would prefer, but I would not necessarily vote for him. I would maybe consider it, but I definitely would not vote for Phil Scott unless it was like a progressive Democrat. I would either vote third party, not vote at all, or I'd probably vote for Scott, but not very excitingly, I must admit. But that's the end of this prediction. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next video.